Okay, so thank you very much for doing this, taking time out your day to speak with us. It's fantastic to get people from all over the world and all over the industry to come together. And what I love as well is we've got people from property management software platforms that everybody is using to come in and sort of talk a little bit more about that, but also as well Astra. So if you could just do us a massive favor, please, and just give a little bit of background on yourself, where you're from in the world.
Who am I?
Yeah, exactly. Who are you? How you came to Australia?
Who am
more
I?
importantly,
What am I doing here?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Good.
Yes, that's brilliant. So the floor is yours.
Fantastic. Excellent. So first of all, thank you very much for inviting me. It's an honor to be in your podcast, as a viewer and as a listener. So I'm really happy to be here. My name is Yoav Turrell. So let's first of all start with the name. So as I mentioned to you before, nobody can actually pronounce my name here, even not my mom. So I go by Yowie usually. Joe is my coffee name, but Yowie, that's how everyone in Australia calls me. So I'm based in Sydney, Australia. I've been living here for 18 years now, originally from Israel, hence the accent and the name. My background is actually advertising and media. I was born and bred in advertising agencies, later on worked in EdTech company, and 3.5 years ago, a bit more, I got a call from Guesty. They were looking to open an office in Australia, an office that will serve the entire Asia Pacific region. And we started kind of to chat, a few rounds on interviews, and here I am. So joined Guesty back in September 2019, pre-COVID, even for the audience who remember, before COVID, we actually had the bushfires here in Australia. So actually just before that, we opened the office here. Guesty Property Management Software already had clients in this part of the world, but the idea was to establish a local presence, to be able to cater to service clients, partner at a local time, obviously with the different kind of different languages in our area. So we opened the office here. We are now, fast forward, we are now 33 people here in Australia. That's also thanks to a recent acquisition that Guesty did. So we got into one big family here in Australia with an amazing company called Highroom. Highroom, that's also a property management software that's been around for many, many years. I always say what they forgot, we haven't learned. So we are now one team with a few offices across Australia, and basically servicing all of the region. We mainly customer facing. So the entire function from marketing all the way to customer success and support. We do have a few devs here on the ground as well. And we work with clients at different size and segments, whether it's urban rentals, vacational rentals, apart hotels, resorts, motels. So we have quite a nice mix of clients. Yeah. When I'm not guesting, I'm also on, or you know what? At the same time that I'm in Guesty, I'm also on the ASTRA board. ASTRA is the Australian Short-Term Rental Accommodation Association. I've been on the board for just over 2 years now, and in the last couple of months, I've been also the acting chair. We're now in the process of basically we're looking for a permanent chair. So I voted for the position of the acting chair for the time being. A lovely, amazing group of people. We are 9 volunteers, directors from different angles of the industry, from property managers to tourism and travel experts, to hospitality experts, technology. We have kind of, I think that we are 2 or 3 that coming from the technology side, from legal, from finance. So an amazing bunch of people that try to unite, represent, advocate for the industry. And in the spare time, here's a little kind of thing, in a little anecdote. In the spare time, I'm doing stand-up comedy. So stand-up comedy as an amateur, kind of, we're not going, kind of, I'm not the next thing on Netflix.
Yeah.
But I started it just to improve my presentation skills.
Yeah.
Because the feedback is immediate. They either laugh or not. And I'm just doing it in pubs, open mic evenings.
Brilliant.
So
loads to unpack. Thank you for that. Okay, so what is within Guesty? What is like your normal day-to-day role when you jump into the offices in Sydney? Like, what's your normal day-to-day look like within Guesty Towers?
So the normal day, it's kind of split between client management and work with our partners in Australia, New Zealand, Southeast Asia. As I mentioned, we have a team that is dedicated to support them. So there is a lot of work with any challenges or any optimization or any discussions on where to take the business. So quite a lot of the day goes to that. There is obviously also the element of new business and identify new opportunities within the space. The fact that the sky is now pretty much open now in Southeast Asia. We see more traveler comes in. We see a lot of opportunities. So there is a lot of work around that, and most of the time it's people management. It's managing the team on the ground. That's also one of the reasons why Guesty wanted to have an operation here on the ground, because at the end of the day, and we all know it from our teams, it's working with our people. How do we motivate them, energize them, grow them, learning together what to do? So there is a lot of that in the work.
And you came into Guesty at 2019, like you said, just before the forest fires, and then obviously COVID and everything else that's happened. And Australia's had one of the strictest lockdowns probably worldwide. How have you have seen this industry go from 2019 to now in 2023. How have you noticed the industry adapt and grow in Australia? And what does the current scene look like in terms of getting back to 2019 sort of levels?
It's I'll try to answer and even try to do the connection between the lockdown or the pandemic and regulation. Okay, what we've seen, first of all, like everywhere else in the world, it was I might use a positive word when I'll say amazing, but it was such an unbelievable experience to go through that. And I think that we all shared it, just kind of working in such an unknown situation and not knowing what's going to be, and just adapting it day by day. That was quite, we can't believe that it's only 18 months ago that we were in that situation here in Australia. From the industry perspective, we've seen the industry going through evolution process and getting more mature, because we could see that companies that had good operation, good management, good leadership, they usually survived. Most of them survived throughout that time and actually got out of it stronger. Okay, it gets back to the basics. How do you take care of the people? How do you manage your business? How do you find the opportunities? Australia, you mentioned, yes, we had kind of one of the most stricted kind of lockdowns. I'm in Sydney, and we have our sisters and brothers in Melbourne that they were even kind of in the worst situation in terms of the length of the lockdown. But with the lockdowns, the short-term rental, it was a tipping point, I should say, here in Australia, because it actually within the lockdown, within each state, it grew. We've seen new guests are discovering short-term rental, are discovering Australia. We had a lot of conversation that we heard from property managers in the market, that they heard from their guests that they found the equivalent to Bali, the equivalent to Thailand, the kind of those same places, but here in Australia. Australia is fortunate to have such a variety of places. So we've seen kind of that coming up. So there was kind of a good evolution, and as I said, those who had a good management and a good operation survived and became stronger for that. Now, I mentioned that I'll also link it to regulation. Across Australia, we start to see, and especially in New South Wales, moving to more regulation, or there are more discussions about regulation of short-term rental. That's another phase in the evolution of short-term rental and the maturity here in Australia. Because what we see now the realization of this is a serious profession. It needs to be accountable. Host needs to be responsible. With the surge of guests come also increase of the guest expectations. So now you're not only competing with the hotels on the actual beds, you're also competing on the guest experience. And that's another an important step. So if you put everything kind of together, the bottom line is that we feel that it's a stronger industry, more resilient, and that it's ready to the next step in the evolution of the industry.
It's like Australia is having to grow to the next level of this industry, because I think like
exactly
for everybody who's been a part of it and everybody who's been around it for a while, you could easily say that for many years, Australia was behind in terms of technology from like UK and the USA. Obviously, Guesty having a big presence in there, you're more on the ground, you're chatting to people, and obviously being part of ASTRA as well. Do you see that now coming out of like 2022 going to 2023, there is more of a need for technology in Australia in this industry? And we're not just talking property management software, but we're talking about other tools as well. Is this something that you're seeing from ASTRA and from Guesty?
Yeah, so look, it's Australia, I must say, Australia is quite an advanced market when it comes to technology within our industry. Unlike, and I can say from the APAC perspective, unlike other markets that it's very common to see that they're not using technology and they're moving to technology. I think that the usage of technology for the industry is quite common. The need for technology is not only that it's still here, but as you kind of pointed, it's actually kind of, we see that it's even kind of strengthened in that sense, because you have now, whether it's to master the operational efficiency, we're dealing with, will there be a recession? So I need to make sure that I'm working properly. Staff shortage. I need to make sure that I automated the right thing. So you see that now the need is growing. There is the basis, and now kind of you need to improve in what you're doing. Compliance, that's kind of related to the regulation, and that's more the ASTRA. I'm switching heads, the ASTRA side, because there are lots of good tools that allow you to be a more responsible host, whether it's noise awareness or guest screening or anything, or remote access, etc. So there come the needs to that. The growth of the brands kind of within the operators. You start to see in Australia brands that are establishing themselves, whether it's B&B Made Easy in Orange, whether it's Made Comfy, whether it's Allogio, whether it's Home Time. whether it's I don't know, a perfect stay. By the way, these are not, I'm not mentioning only kind of guesty clients, but you see kind of labode brands within the market that are getting kind of to become well known, and with that also come the needs to more direct booking. So how does their website look like, and the upsells? So you definitely see that it's a new level of technology.
Well, the good thing for me, as you were listing off those clients and those team members, that there's companies that you mentioned, I was thinking that's the Boostly member, that's the Boostly member, that's the Boostly member. So it's lovely to see, lovely to hear. And yeah, I mean, we can see it from our end. We can see when the bookings are coming in. We can see the amount of direct bookings coming in. And this is one of the reasons why we wanted, Boostly personally wanted to do a big push in Australia, because we can see so much growth from the members that we have. So it's like, how can we help more? Because it is, like you say, with more technology, with more awareness comes more responsibility. And I feel like regulations is not just an Australia thing. It's definitely hot right now in the UK. It's definitely hot in certain areas of America and Canada. And I feel like with regulations, it's nothing but a good thing, because what it's going to do is going to shake out the bad characters, the ones that are just coming in this for like a quick win, passive income, etc. And it will just make this industry stronger.
100%. And look, Astra tagline is here to stay, and short-term rentals is here to stay, and because that it's getting stronger. You mentioned it before. I think that it's also kind of, I think that it's Spider-Man. With power comes the responsibility. Yeah. It's growing. You see the nightly rate are now in some cases higher than hotels for the same kind of, even room size. So, and as I mentioned, more kind of new audiences discover the short-term rentals. So they come with their own expectation. So you see that there is the regulation to make sure that, okay, if you play in that field, make sure that you're responsible. But there is also call it the guest regulation, if you want. The expectation are growing. They want to feel it in the way that you market to them, in the way that you communicate with them, in the way that you're doing your CRM. Definitely, when you come and see, I always mention B&B Made Easy in terms of kind of what a brilliant guest experience they have. I stayed in few of the properties, and you feel that this is a real competition to hotels, because this is it. Mm-hmm. So that's what pushes kind of the industry.
Yeah. So in terms of the next steps, and like Australia, let's just put our next hat on, which is going to be looking to sort of 2024. What is Astra doing to make sure that the members are up to date with everything that's going on? What's the next sort of plans and the phases, and what are you looking to implement? Even, in an acting chair role, being on the directors, like what's sort of the next sort of things that you're looking to implement for Astra and the members?
Yeah, so Astra, from the get-go, Astra been around, by the way, for 7 years now in the current format. It used to be a different association before, but the last 7 years it's being Astra as we know it. One of our main tasks is the education, is to keep educating the market, to keep standardize and raising the standards for the market. So whether it's through publications and meetups, I mentioned you before when we chatted, we just had a good meetup in New Zealand with the local community there, webinars, conferences. So the need to share knowledge in the industry is very strong, and that's one of the main things that we're focusing on. And you spoke about kind of what we have later on this year in 2024. That's definitely a pillar that the industry will see more investment in that. So that's one main thing. A second thing is everything around regulation and advocacy, because we will see in 2023 a lot of discussion around it, and some of it will be implemented and executed in 2024. So this year, we are likely to see actually changes this year, because it usually takes 12 months to take effect. But 2024, we expect kind of to see more regulation actually in place. And this is something that we need to be ready for. So we spend a lot of time in discussion with the different governments. ASTRA is supportive of regulation. We think that it's important for the future of the industry, from the professionalization, standardization, as well as from the security to the operators, that they know that they have a valid business which is here to stay. So there's a lot of discussions around that, and with that, it's also related to education, because you want to ensure that you have responsible members that are doing it. So that will be another thing. And then we have all other kind of initiatives we want to see if we can work and partner with different training programs. How do we actually? I think that's that's something that is missing in our industry. How do you create the new generation? It's like kind of in the hotels that you have the apprentice and you have all the programs. Why not in our industry? So this is also something that we're looking at.
Amazing. There's a lot happening in ASTRA and in Guesty, and just in Australia Australasia as a region. There's so much going on down there. It definitely feels like that it's often been the forgotten part of the world, because it is just on literally the other side of the world. But it is so much going on. Like you said, the skies are opening, people can travel a lot more freer. And I feel like the bounce back is only just beginning for Australia, New Zealand, and Australasia as a whole. So it's exciting to see.
We're far away from everyone, but it is every time that one of us go to a conference overseas, whether it's in the UK or in the US, Guesty as it's Guestival, every time that we hear from Aussies or Kiwis that are going there, they are always kind of, they love the fact that, wow, it's the same challenges, and actually maybe we're even have better solutions kind of around it. So I think that definitely we're in par in terms of the challenges and the thinking with other parts of the world. We never know if we're ahead of everyone or behind of everyone. But it's always the big conferences kind of allow you a sense check to see where you are.
And talking about conferences, obviously, Guestival, are you going to be going to that event?
Yes.
And I was going to say, give us a little bit more information. Where is it? When is it? Just give us, because it's one of those that's always on the calendar of the must-go-to events.
Yeah, look, it's kind of, I'm obviously speaking kind of, as a guestie, so I will always say that that's kind of the best thing ever. But it's kind of knowing our people who work on that. They really there is a team that works on that, and they're doing a really great job in terms of the agenda and the event production and everything. The date, what an Australian date! It's May 8th. All right, so May 8th till May 10th. In Tel Aviv, for the listener, for the viewers who haven't visited Tel Aviv, it's quite a fascinating city. It has a bit from New York, from Europe, from different places in the world. It has the beach, it has the tech, it has the food. So it's going to be a really great experience. I haven't seen the agenda yet. But again, just kind of based on the past Guestivals, the last one in Austin, and I've been in the Guestival in 2019, which was in Tel Aviv. It's usually kind of very insightful, very kind of innovative, thought-provoking. So if you have a chance, please go.
I'm waiting for my invite from the Guesty people. Alexandra, I'm waiting
Here you
for
go,
my invite.
Alex.
Yeah,
Let's take over, Mark. Yeah.
So before we finish, I can't skip by this.
Yeah.
Stand-up comedy. What would you say has been the biggest lesson that you have learned? Obviously, you're not looking for a Netflix special, like you said. It's more to help with your presentation skills. But what is that one thing that you've learned from doing stand-up comedy that has enhanced your thinking, or just how you do other things?
So there are a couple of things. First of all, and it might sound very trivial, but the preparation. They just kind of rehearse and prepare. There's no substance to that. So that's one thing. First of all, the preparation. Second thing, that was one of the reasons why I wanted to do that, is I find that always when I present at work and in different discussion, I tend to to be maybe a bit apologetic, maybe kind of not sure how the other side react, or kind of consider the other side. Stand-up comedy taught me, you have something to say, don't be afraid, say it. They either laugh or won't laugh, but say it. Be confident kind of to say that. So that's that. Listening to or paying attention or reading the audience, again, trivial. We see it in the day-to-day, but the reaction, what vibe they are, kind of even before you go on stage, just seeing, I'm in pubs, so usually you either have 5 drunk people or you suddenly have a bunch of 50. So, but just kind of reading the audience a bit and trying kind of to acknowledge it in your delivery. And the last one is that, and that's actually I took from the great Ricky Gervais, and it's true. He always said, look, if you do the same joke 50 times and people laugh, you know that you have a good joke. It's like it's mathematics, and it actually works.
Good. Yeah, it's fascinating, that, and it's I love the world of stand-up, and regularly just been watching them on Netflix, and it's so interesting how you can put that into presentations and just the wider world. So thank you for sharing.
For me, and I'll just say that for me, and you can hear it from my accent, from the way that I speak, it's English is obviously not my native language, and using humor as a universal tool to cut through, that's quite amazing.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on today. Really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you for spreading and sharing more knowledge on what ASTRA is doing, but also Guesty as well. And I will include all the links to everything that we talk about, Guestival, Guesty, ASTRA. I'll put it all in the show notes. But thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me. I really enjoyed it. So thank you very much.
Having a blast, gonna get it on the Bruce Lee podcast. Bruce Lee like Bruce Lee, cause it's so hard and the T is loose leaf. Making up those rhymes, don't write it, just do it loosely.